Okay, so the reason why I actually had this meeting is there was a lady that reached out to me yesterday. She wanted to she asked someone about KPIs and the person referred her to me. So I wanted to be sure she's online right now. But anyway, it's recorded, so even if she's not online, she can watch it. You can watch it
Yes, ma'am.
later.
Online, ma.
Oh, okay, very good. Okay, so I'm just going to take a part of performance appraisal system, performance
Okay.
management rather. Performance management is it's actually a whole lot. It's a process in itself. But the performance appraisal that we do is just an exercise in performance management. So let me before I continue, my name is Sowemimo and Omobolajoko. So I'm just going to spend 30 minutes with us because, this is the early hours of the day. I really don't want to disrupt anybody's plan for the day. At least since this was like an impromptu meeting. So I agreed with Omotayo yesterday. So I just said, okay, I need to share that there be other people who want to learn from this or gain from this knowledge, since we are just here to share knowledge with ourselves. So that's the reason for this. So I'll just dive straight um into our discussion. So like I said, performance appraisal is an exercise in performance management system. So if you understand the whole concept of performance management system, you would be able to develop an effective performance appraisal. So I hear a lot of discussion. I see a lot of chats in our group talking about performance appraisal as as a single entity. And personally, from my research, from my study, I feel it shouldn't be isolated like that. It should actually be a holistic process. And why do I say that? The question is, why do you want to appraise? I know it's an obvious question, but it's an obvious question, but if you really, really think deep, you realize that it's actually not an obvious question, because the question is, why do so many organizations, why do they do performance appraisal? Now, take note of my choice of word. I said appraisal. I didn't say performance management system. They are two different things. So why do you want to appraise? If you know the reason why you want to appraise, then that would help you to define what you want to appraise. Why is different from what? But if you don't know the why, you won't know the what. So, and if you don't know the what, you would use all kinds of instruments you find available in the market. There's a whole lot. There's the balance scorecard, there's 360-degree assessment. I mean, there's a whole lot. If you go on the net to read about it, there's a whole lot. So for me, performance appraisal, it's a fallout of performance management system. And performance management system can be used as a tool in HR and even in the organization as a whole. And you can achieve a whole lot from that. You can get a whole lot from your performance management system. So for one of the things you can use your performance management system to do is to drive engagement. I mean employee engagement. We say we HR, we say something like that the staffs are not engaged, the employees are not engaged. Yes, an employee might not be engaged on their work, on their duty, because in the previous year, both the people that performed and the people that did not perform, everybody was celebrated together. There was no difference. And so if there's no difference, that can impact on me. So why should I put in my best foot if last year Mr. A that didn't do so well was also celebrated that a job well done for the year, and me that I burnt the night candle, I went the extra mile, I made sure that I crossed my T's, I met deadlines, I even went overboard. I'm not appreciated for it. So you can see that that's an engagement issue. So if your performance appraisal exercise is not designed such that the high flyers are appreciated. It means that the people that are not performing would have an effect on the high flyers. Also, it can performance management system can also be used to drive cultural change. So what do I mean by change? Cultural change. So for example, if you notice that there's a particular area the organization is struggling to change, you can design your appraisal system in such a way, appraisal instrument in such a way that it captures behavior in those areas. So you want to see those behavior change gradually. Remember, people to change is quite difficult. So you have to create a system where people are, I don't want to say forced, or people are in such a way like you're subtly moving them to accept that kind of a behavior. So you want to create a behavior of the number one in the market. So maybe in your industry, one of your desires is to become the number one. So you want to create that cultural change, for that mindset, for people to think that I am number one. So you can design your management and your performance management system such that it accommodates that kind of mindset in the way people are being measured on their work. So, and before you know it, by the time you do the first year, the second year, you will see that mindset of I am number one, we are number one. It can also be tied to remuneration, benefits. There can be a whole lot of benefits attached to performance management. So I just wanted to give that background. Let me just mute everyone. So I just want to give that background for people to understand. So now I'll go to the instrument. So performance management appraisal instrument, it's not a one-off. Like, it's not something you design at the beginning of the year and everybody goes to sleep. No, 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 no. It is a no. It is something you design at the beginning of the year, and every month. In fact, it's something you even have conversation around every day. Maybe not documented, but you talk around it, because you don't want to design something and you're now trying to talk about it in September. That is not fair now. How do you have, for crying out loud, that's a whole month of gaps in between. But when you talk about it every day, because it's something we do on every day. So for example, we are all at work now. So there is a goal to be achieved for that is tied to the performance, to my KPIs. So we'll come to the aspect of KPIs. So I'll just share my screen with everybody. Okay. So now, before I continue, so this is just a one-off, as in this is just one of the instruments in the market or on the net, or that you can have available. If you understand I'm using the balance scorecard. If you understand the balance scorecard principle, you can design yours in a way that suits your processes, your organization. It's not a one cap that fits all. There is room for you to modify to suit what you want to achieve. So now, somebody asked me, the lady asked me yesterday that is job description same thing as KPI? And I said, no, job description is not the same thing as KPI. But however, you derive your KPI from the job description. The job description is when, what you give to the staff, okay, this is what is expected of you, blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to measuring people, there has to be a clear goal, as in it has to be clearly written and agreed upon. So for example, maybe for a front desk officer, you could say the job description could be someone filing an organization of or an office file, blah blah blah. But that's kind of big, like organization of files, big. But how do you really nip it down? It's easy for salespeople. So you say, you have a target of 70, maybe 25 million naira in a month. It's easy. So if you are not meeting 25 million naira, you know you're not meeting your goal for the month. But for back end, like, okay, office support staff, it's a bit challenging, but it's not challenging if you understand the principle. So this file that I'm sharing here this is something I have designed. I worked on it and I designed it. And yes, I personally, I feel it can still be better than this. It can still be modified. So this is just like a template. We can work on it. We can go online to read more, and it gives us a better understanding. So where do we start our performance exercise from? The first thing first we need to do is at the beginning of the year or the month or the quarter, it depends. So, well, most organizations are in their budgeting period right now. So planning for 2023. There is a goal for the year. There is an organizational goal, a corporate goal, that this is what company XYZ wants to achieve in the year 2023. So it could cut across different aspects of their business, but we'll just make it simple for the sake of just us. Okay, so I'll just work with two goals. So for example, one of our goals could be that last year we had a budget of maybe, let's say, 200 million, and this year we want to reduce that. So that is cost reduction of all our overhead expenses. We want it to come down. We want it to come down maybe like 20%. You understand? So we have 20% cost reduction for year 2023. Another one could be that we want to increase our market penetration, our market share, maybe like by 5% or 7%. Like all I'm saying is just hypothetical. So we can break it down to how it fits into our organization. So by let's work with 5%. So that is what company XYZ wants to achieve in 2023. So of course they share it with all the team leads. Now I know for PLC, it's quite interesting there. It's a bit easy because all those have been worked out. But for small, for one-man businesses or private businesses, well, there are some private businesses that are also operating at that level. But for one-man businesses, you would need to have a conversation with your CEO and get their buy-in, because the performance management system
Today's what? I
cannot.
don't know if
Please,
they've
can you
resumed
mute
fully.
your phone? Can you mute your mic? Please, can you mute your mic? Because you cannot run a performance management system without having the buy-in of your management, of your CEO. You have to find a way to convince them to have the buy-in to support you on this. It makes your job easy. It makes it interesting for you. So if you're able to get their buy-in, so we work with those two goals for the year. Now, you have the finance, you have the operation, you have the HR. It depends on, so I will use my company so that we can be a bit real. So we have four units in my organization. We have the laboratory, which is technically our operations. We have the sales, the business development and sales. We have the HR and administrative, which is the support, and we have our finance. So we have 4 areas in my organization. So to reduce cost by 20%, to increase our market share by 7%. So all of this units, we take our own share of that 2 goals. So what do I mean? The CEO and the board at their level, they've told us that this is what we want to achieve in 2023. So me as the team lead for HR, I go back to my department. So I'm like, so what do I need to do to fit into that organizational goal? I mean, the corporate goal for the year. What do I do? The finance also go back to their office, the laboratory, what do they need to do? The business development, what do they need to do? So we all come to our different units. So we start hacking our head, we start breaking, cascading that goals down into our units. So me as the Omobola as the team lead for HR, I sit down with my team. So we look at our performance last year. What and what, which areas do we need tightening? So, for example, HR, quote and unquote, we spend money in those areas, more like we, because we technically don't bring in money as such. So we now have to start thinking, what do we need to do? How do we support the business? How do we reduce costs? How do we help the business generate more businesses? So think about it like that. So that's why, so this, can you see my screen? And is my screen obvious? Hello?
Yes. Yes, we can see us.
So this is balance scorecard. It has 4 areas where it measures. Now, this 4 area is not limited. You can expand it. It can be 6, it can be 5. But from my research, I think when you have your focus area limited, it helps you to measure very well. So you want to keep it a bit short. But however, I'm not saying it has to be like this. You can increase the focus area. So we're focusing on customer, finance, people, and operations. This is for my unit. Now, this is even for for an HR executive in my unit. So when we now focus on this area, we have our objectives, we have the deliverables, we have the performance indicators, we have the delivery time, we have the weighting, we have the performance rating. So these are all the components I have here. I'm going to reiterate it again. This is not cast on stone. You can modify it to suit your processes. So now I want to come to this page, performance contract. Remember I said that performance, when you develop your KPIs, it's not something you develop at January. You just leave it there. And both the staff, the employee, and the team lead, they go their separate ways to come back in July. It doesn't work like that. It is something that has to be an ongoing discussion all the time. You have to keep discussing about it. So for areas where you have major concern, because it's not everything you document. So maybe someone made a mistake on a job. You don't document that, not necessarily. However, when you've designed a KPI, you have this conversation. So this is like a contract between the manager and the employee. So you can see performance contract 2022. So the name of the person, the surname, the job title, department, and the manager. So this is all just to get a better result from the organization at the organizational level, the team level, and at the individual level. So there has to be an agreement, an understanding of how performance will be managed at an agreed framework of planned goals. So now you see, it is planned goals, competency requirements. So I design a KPI. I have to let my subordinate know that, okay, my employee know that, okay, this is the area we are looking at in 2023. And this is what we are agreeing on that we would achieve. So when we both agree on that, we both sign. So this is where it comes. So that we've had the conversation with my direct line manager around my expected output and performance to carry out the output as set and in my KPI document for the year we're talking about. So we both sign, the employees sign with date, the manager also signed with date. We come back to this table now. So this table now, so please don't, like I said, you don't let this get you bamboozled in any way. These are just my own playing around. You can play around with yours as well. So objective in the customer focus area, these are the objectives we want to achieve. We want to create a strategic support for the business. Remember, we are saying 20% cost reduction, 7% market penetration. That's what we are focusing on. So everything we are doing, we have that goal in mind. So we are looking at how we want to help the organization achieve that from the HR angle. And if I may say this at this point, I noticed that some HRs, we try to set up performance, the KPIs for other departments. Please, you can't set KPIs for other departments because they don't work with you directly, except you've worked in that unit and you are able to understand their day-to-day business activities. I personally feel that the line manager in that department should be able to set up a KPI performance, a key performance indicator for their units. If they don't know how, that's a training need. You will have to teach them. You have to explain. So right now, I'm not relatively new. My organization didn't have this kind of system in place, this kind of template in place. I've proposed it to my CEO. I have a buy-in. The next person I want to propose it to now is to present it to my CEO. Once I have my CEO's buy-in, I'm going to have to do a training for all my team leads for them to understand how this works and teach them how they can set up key performance indicators, how they can set KPIs up for their own team leads. So as the HR, I'm just going to help them facilitate it. I'm just going to help them walk along the journey. It is not something I have because, so for example, the laboratory, how do I set up KPIs for the laboratory? I have a limited knowledge with their processes. So they come up with protocols, they do research and all that. I might not be able to understand the nitty-gritty. However, the team lead in that unit understands it better because that is their core job. So what I'm supposed to do is help train them on how to use this, on how to set this up. Then they set it up, they have the conversation with their team members, and we are all good. So we all know what is expected from each other. So this is HR. So I'm just going to run through a bit of what we do here. Now, the size of the organization differs from the size of processes, activities that goes on there. So please, let's have that at back over. So, our goal is to reduce cost 20%, increase market share by 7%. So our deliverables in this customer area, we want to increase our brand image, both internal and external. So whatever activities we do have to show these deliverables. We want to do employee satisfaction, employee engagement. So now, even increasing, so how do you know I'm increasing brand image? It's still, for me, it's vague, it's big. So I have to go down, I have to drill down to activities that I need to do, activities that needs to be done, which is going to feed my deliverables. So one of the ways we are saying in our organization that we want to increase our brand image internally, we want to create 2 team bonding sessions. So you could say quarterly, you could say monthly, it depends. The timeline depends. So we also want to make sure that we run surveys to see how to feel the pulse of our employees, so that is that. So then the weighting, we've attached 20% to that. So this performance rating, what this EA is saying, exceptional achievements, fully achieved, FA, fully achieved, PA, partially achieved, NA, non-achieved. So that means you did not do anything that period, that financial or the business period. So we are saying that if you do 2 team bonding section, your report on survey, okay, so you're supposed to have one of the performance indicator to have organized vendors meeting on or before 18th of the last month in the quarter. You set up the meeting 48 hours before the due time. If you do all this, then that means you're telling me that you're an exceptional achiever, and I have to give it to you. So now, if you see that this instrument is not qualitative, more of quantitative, I'm able to measure. I asked you to organize two team bonding section, run a satisfaction survey, organize a vendor meeting, and you're able to do that within the time frame I have given you, then you're an exceptional achiever. If you're not able to do everything, but you're able to achieve, so now you have to agree on what is exceptional to you, what is fully achieved, what is partially achieved, what is non-achievement. You, as an organization, you have to decide what is that. It is not cast on stone. So same thing with finance. You set your objective, you come up with your deliverables, your performance indicator, the delivery for timelines to it, you weight it. Same thing with performance rating. So you design, you set up this, or you develop this for all the focus area that you're looking at. So I'm looking at customer, finance, people, and operation. So now, these other parts. Okay, please, can you help mute your mic? Please mute your mic. Thank you. Okay, so this other, where I have my cursor, this has to do with our own culture. So you can be creative around this. You can work around your core values, what the things, the principles the organization believe in, and measure it. So now, this is just, if you look at the weighting here, this is just 20%. Compared to the whole of this is 80%. And the reason why I did it like this is because I want to focus more on this area rather than this, because for me, if I say I'm always passionate, positive, is relative. My professionalism can be high. Of course, my own professionalism will be very higher than that of my subordinate. So you can see that that is a bit relative. So, and over the years, have maybe my previous workplace has made me understand that it's always good for you to make your performance appraisal, make it more quantifiable. It removes subjectivity. It's not a matter of I like your face or I don't like your face, or I feel like you worked very well this month. No, not that. So my Zoom is saying 10 more minutes, so I'm going to wrap up. So let me just, so this page is just a description of the definition of the performance rate of the fully achieved and non-achieved. So I want to quickly rush on this part. So this part is the personal development plan. If you look at it, it's a bit self-explanatory. So now, while you run the performance appraisal, it should be able to show you people that are high performer, people that are ready for the next level, people that are ready for future roles. So you should be able to determine that. And people you think should be ready for future role, but they are not, they are still lagging behind. So you want to ask the reason why they are still lagging behind. So see if it's a training need, if a training could fix that issue, or if it is a mentoring or a coaching or any form of intervention that could save that situation. Because your performance appraisal exercise should be able to give you your next should be able to feed into your succession planning. It should be able to feed into your succession planning system, because your succession planning system involves the people, the current workforce you have. So if you cannot, the people you have right now, you don't see potential leaders, the potential future managers, then there's something wrong. It means the company will have to keep coaching from outside, or buying, or having to hire, which can be costly for the organization. But when you have people that you can groom, so that's the idea behind management training. See people that are being trained for management position, but your appraisal should be able to do that. Your appraisal should be able to show you that, okay, these people, I'm watching out for them. From their performance this year, I should be able to project them for this training, learning and development next year. So maybe this person, you notice that this person has issue with time, with delivery, with deadlines, not being able to manage time very well. So that kind of person, you want to book the person for a training in the following year for training that has to do with time management. That's how it works. So this document is going to be a conversation between the staff and the team lead. So for example, my aspiration. So what am I aspiring to be? On my current role, I want to achieve this, or I am fully competent. We discuss it. The future role is being discussed. Now, competency, is the person competent now or not yet? So if the person is not competent, so maybe in some areas, the person is not competent. So that means that this is telling you that this person needs training in this area. Future for development area. So you now identify the development area. After that is done, formal intervention. So is it that you want to do a classroom training for the person, the time frame for it? Informal intervention, okay, maybe I'll be having conversation with the person every 2 weeks in this area to see how the person is improving. Whatever formal intervention, informal intervention is being documented here. So future role. Okay, so I'm supposed, okay, I am a potential CEO and COO in the making. Am I competent? The skills, the knowledge, the behaviors, it will be stated down. Am I competent for it? Competent, not yet competent. We both agree. Then those areas will now be stated here. So whether my organization wants to send me to Lagos Business School for some training, they will put it there, the time frame for an informal intervention, maybe attach me to another COO's organization as mentor to be coaching me, putting me through. All that is good. So invariably, this document here, this whole document is what should feed the training plans for that employee. You know, sometimes we do a blanket training for people. We just say, okay, we think people are not, they are doing this, they are this. So we just do, it's good. We can do a blanket training, but if you want to be deliberate in developing your employees, you should have this in place. This will help you to target, hit where their real needs are. Okay, so I actually rushed, but because of time, I hope I have been able to make some sense. I know my senior colleagues are here that can do a better job, but I think the whole idea is just to share knowledge with ourselves, and I hope I've been able to do justice. Please, if you have any questions. Okay, so someone said most new companies expect that HR managers set KPIs. Well, so one of the things HR is expected to do is actually, you should be able to convince your management. There's a whole lot of things that we grow up in HR knowing to be that's how it should be done. But we are learning that no, it's actually not supposed to be like that. HR, you can only help them, you can only guide them in how to set up a KPI. So if you are not a scientist, how do you want to know what they do? How do you know they come up with their protocols for a test? How do you know they come up with a protocol for diagnosing a particular ailment? You don't know that. So you need a scientist that has been trained to understand what KPI is, to develop it. Then you can help them modify it, as in align it. I'm not sure. Well, I have my seniors in the house. Maybe they can see to that, but I don't think HR managers should. So how do you want to set KPI for an accountant? Do you know about their bank reconciliation? Do you know about their asset revaluation? Do you know about their petty cash, their management account and all that? How do you do that? So that's what I'm saying. You can only facilitate with them. Please, you can only facilitate with them. That's just how I'm going to answer it. But if somebody else has a better explanation to that, we don't mind, we can rub minds together. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. Okay, so do we have any other question?
Good morning, Sowemimo. This is Adetunbi. Thank you for this. I just want to buttress your point.
Okay.
In my organization, what we did was we also use a balance scorecard. We sent the what do you call it? The template and guidelines on how to go about it to all the departmental heads.
Yes.
So they actually crafted their KPIs. So when you now have to work with them, like you said, they've done it, you look at it, the principle behind it, and make them channel it according to that principle so that it will be measurable and it will be right. So that's actually what we did. So we
you have to wrap up. We have less than 1 minute. It's going to go off right now.
Oh, yes. So basically, that's all. I don't want to take all your time. I just wanted to buttress what you said. Thank you.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you. Thank you for joining. So, okay, so this is recorded, so it will be on our the YouTube page where you can watch it over again, and maybe some other time we can still have conversations around this. Thank you very much. So it's going to go off any moment anyway. Thank you.